Thank you, Lord.
And welcome once again, my brothers and sisters, to another Living Hope Today study. Today we find ourselves in 2 Chronicles chapter 9. And if you remember, the first 9 chapters of the book of 2 Chronicles are dedicated to the history of Solomon. And we've been watching things move along as Solomon is coronated as king, as Israel is united under him as one nation, as God blesses him and he builds the temple, and his palace, I should say. In the end, God made a promise to Solomon. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember? Let me take you there and show you. Back here in 2 Chronicles 1, Solomon says to God, okay, you've asked me for what I want. Lord, here's what I want. Give me wisdom and knowledge that I may lead this people, for who is able to govern this great people of yours? And look what God says. God says to Solomon, since this is your heart's desire, and you have not asked for wealth, riches, or honor, nor for the death of your enemies, and since you have not asked for a long life, but for wisdom and knowledge to govern my people over whom I have made you king, what does God tell him? Therefore, wisdom and knowledge will be given you. And I will give you wealth, riches, and honor, such as no king who was before you ever had, and none after you will have. This is the promise God makes to King Solomon. Well, in chapter 9 of 2 Chronicles, we see the wealth and honor part fulfilled. Listen to this. When the queen of Sheba heard of Solomon's fame, she came to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions. Arriving with a very great caravan with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold and precious stones, she came to Solomon and talked with him about all she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for him to explain to her. So let's think about the Queen of Sheba for a minute. Sheba is traditionally located way down here to the south of the Red Sea. This is modern-day Yemen. Some scholarship says it's on the west side of the Red Sea, which would be like northern Ethiopia. Others say it's on the east side of the Red Sea, which would be Yemen today. Ophir, if you can see that little print there at the bottom, that's what we refer to and what will come up as a source of gold for King Solomon. But just notice that this queen who reigns over this part of the world thinks it important enough to journey all the way up to Israel to visit with King Solomon. Okay, she asks him questions. Nothing's too hard for him. When the Queen of Sheba saw the wisdom of Solomon, as well as the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, the cupbearers in their robes, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. Solomon obviously has such great wealth and opulence as he is on display before the world. The Queen of Sheba is just taken aback by the level of wealth and opulence. She said to the king, the report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe what they said until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half the greatness of your wisdom was told me. Notice she emphasizes his wisdom. You have far exceeded the report I heard. So King Solomon is portrayed in 2 Chronicles 9 as somebody that is just over the top with wisdom, understanding, and opulence. How happy your men must be. This is still the queen speaking. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Then listen to this. This is what the Queen of Sheba has to say. Praise be to the Lord your God. Notice this. The Queen of Sheba attributes all the wisdom of Solomon and all his possessions. She gives credit to the Lord for that. Praise be to the Lord your God who has delighted in you and placed you on his throne. I know God put you here as king to rule for the Lord your God because of the love of your God for Israel and his desire to uphold them forever. Again, what are we noticing here? The chronicler wants to emphasize the fact that God is to be praised for Solomon's reign. God is the one who put King Solomon in power. God is the one who loves Israel to the point where his love over this people is going to extend to eternity. And he has made you king over them to maintain justice and righteousness. You're ruling very well. Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices and precious stones. There had never been such spices as those the queen of Sheba gave to Solomon. And the men of Hiram and the men of Solomon brought gold from Ophir. They also brought algum wood and precious stones. I wondered how much money is represented in 120 talents of gold. So thanks to Google, I was able to see this. There's various debate about what a biblical talent really weighed. But here you go. The historical standard under the Hebrews is 34.2 kilograms. I'm just really interested in this column right here. If she gave him 120 talents at today's market value, she's given him almost $540 million of gold. Even if you use the Roman standard, it's still over $300 million, just to give you an idea of the wealth that's being transferred into the coffers of King Solomon. Again, what did God promise him? I'm going to give you wisdom. I'm going to give you honor. I'm going to give you wealth. And look at what's playing out here. I mean, $500 million, potentially. And it gets even more staggering as we go through the passage. The king used the algum wood to make steps for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. Nothing like them had ever been seen in Judah. Again, what are we being told? Total opulence. King Solomon gave the queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for. And then look at this line. He gave her more than she had brought to him. So she's giving him all this wealth, and he's reciprocated. Then she left and returned with her retinue to her own country. So it's interesting. The text uses the Queen of Sheba to help us understand how magnificent King Solomon is. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly, get that, yearly, was 666 talents. So if 120 talents is worth $500 million, okay, take that times 5. And you'll see yearly what Solomon is depositing into his coffers. This is not including the revenues brought in by merchants and traders. Also, all the kings of Arabia and the governors of the land brought gold and silver to Solomon. So when the Lord makes a promise, he delivers. Look at this. It's just completely off the charts. Well, King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 bekas of hammered gold went into each shield. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold with 300 bekas of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace of the forest of Lebanon. His opulence is so magnificent, he can't even hold it all in Jerusalem. He's got to distribute these things into the palaces that he's built throughout the land. Then the king made a great throne, inlaid with ivory and overlaid with pure gold. The throne had 6 steps, and a footstool of gold was attached to it. On both sides of the seat were armrests with a lion standing beside each of them. 12 lions stood on the 6 steps, one at either end of each step. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. So, okay, we're seeing great opulence here. We might be starting to see a little bit of pride and ego too. Let me build something that's just totally outrageously opulent for myself. All King Solomon's goblets were gold, and all the household articles in the palace of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because silver was considered of little value in Solomon's day. The king had a fleet of trading ships manned by Hiram's men. Once every 3 years, it returned carrying gold, silver, and ivory, and apes and baboons. I mean, look at this. Solomon is just going over the top in terms of his own storehouses. I mean, they're just absolutely packed with super valuable things, and the accumulation accelerates more and more and more. What does that do to a man when he understands such super wealth? King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. All the kings of the earth sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought a gift, articles of silver and gold and robes, weapons and spices and horses and mules. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horses, which he kept in the chariot cities and also with him in Jerusalem. He ruled over all the kings from the river to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt. These are boundaries mentioned in political circles even today. Well, in this day, Israel is being ruled by the most opulent king in history, and he is ruling from the river to the sea. All of it. All of it. And he's renowned for his wisdom and his ability and for his accrual. Look what God does. God has blessed him amazingly. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar as plentiful as sycamore fig trees in the foothills. Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt and from all other countries. As for the other events of Solomon's reign, from beginning to end, are they not written in the records of Nathan the prophet, in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and in the visions of Iddo the seer concerning Jeroboam son of Nebat? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. I want you to see that in that verse 30, what do we see? There is one united kingdom at this time. There is no northern kingdom and southern kingdom, no Israel and Judah. There is simply Israel. One kingdom united under the wisest king to ever live, the one king that has more possession than any other king in history, and God gave him 40 years to rule in that way. Then he rested with his fathers and was buried in the city of his father, and Rehoboam, his son, succeeded him as king. So we're about to go down the path of king after king after king until eventually Israel splits and Israel goes into exile. It's a tragic story, really, from here on to the end of 2 Chronicles, but nonetheless, the Bible doesn't sugarcoat it. This is what happened. However, you see that Solomon is never accused in Chronicles of having multiple wives and flagrantly disobeying God. He is in Kings, but not Chronicles. So the author of Chronicles wants to make sure we understand that Solomon was a great king, rich, wise, and opulent. Well, praise God. When God says he's going to bless you, I guess you better get ready, because look at the blessing he bestowed on Solomon. And why did it happen? Did it happen because Solomon was a hard worker? Did it happen? No, Solomon said to God, all I want from you is wisdom. Don't worry about long life. Don't worry about protecting me from my enemies, and don't worry about my health. Don't worry about my income. Just give me wisdom. God honors that heart that's pure and says, Lord, I just want to be a good servant. Look what God can do when God decides to bless. I pray that you gain hope and trust and faith as God moves in your life today, knowing that all we have to do to God, for God, is say, God, I'm yours. I just want to live my life the way you call me to live it. I want to obey you and observe all that you've said, that my life might be a reflection of your grace and mercy and honor you. And if you take that posture with God, watch what he does. God bless you, church. Serve him well.
Who is it who for sinners shed his blood, and now for cleansing all can plunge beneath that flood?